You're listening to Write the Book Now interview and podcast show with host and creator Dr. Sharon H. Porter.
The Write the Book Now interview and podcast show's guest is Miss Marcia Y Collins-Brown. She is the CEO of What's in You Coaching, LLC, and the author of Become Your Absolute Best, a practical resiliency guide for educators. Marcia is a speaker, a coach, and educator who provides resiliency coaching and training to educators and educational institutions eager to help their staff incorporate practical resiliency strategies in their work and boost student academic engagement. Marcia is an educator with Orange County School District in Florida, where she employs practical resiliency strategies in the classroom, as well as helps students become voracious readers and writers. She serves young adults as an adjunct professor at Lake-Sumter State College, where she provides strategies on teaching students the basic principles of applying resilient principles in college and life. Marcia has earned a master's degree in education with a specialization in reading from Texas A&M Commerce University. She recently earned an educational specialist degree in reading, literacy, and leadership from Walden University. Marcia is a certified personal and executive coach and uses the principles of positive psychology to help professionals and women get unstuck and thrive toward their passion and purpose. She resides in Mount Dora, Florida with her husband, Van Brown, and she enjoys spending time with their children and connecting with people and encouraging through God's Word and practical resiliency strategies. And now, our guest, author Marcia Y Collins-Brown. Thank you for joining us today. This is Dr. Sharon, the host and creator of the Write the Book Now interview and podcast show.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So we've just heard this absolutely phenomenal bio, but I would love for you to tell the listeners who you feel Marcia Y Collins really is.
Well, I am Marcia Y Collins-Brown, and I am a educator in the wonderful state of Florida. And I teach fourth grade. I'm a coach, and I love. I love the kids, and I also love talking about being practical and incorporating practical resiliency strategies in the classroom. I am also an author and a speaker, and I am married to a wonderful husband. His name is Van Brown. And he's a photographer, and we own a lawn care business, and we have a blended family. And so I am always on the go, and so you probably will find me online, or you'll find me teaching at the college, or you will find me in my classroom doing paperwork, putting some things together, or writing my next chapter in my book.
I love it. And just
I'm a busybody. I'm always I have my hands in something, right, always.
Awesome. And I just have to let you know, fourth grade was my absolute favorite grade to teach. When I was a classroom teacher, and I'm going to tell you, when I was actually in fourth grade is when I decided I wanted to be a fourth grade teacher. So fourth grade has a special place in my heart, and it was because of my fourth grade teacher. So, yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we are departmentalized, and fourth grade, I taught fourth grade in Texas, and so I was, as you know, the literacy coach for many, many years, and so I decided to go back into the classroom, and I teach reading and writing, so those are my absolute favorite subjects. And so, but I absolutely love my fourth graders, and so I'm going to just that out. Hey, my fourth graders at elementary school.
I love it. I love it. So let's dive right into your book, Become Your Absolute Best. And, you know, as I was reading it, because initially I thought it was really targeted to classroom teachers, but after reading it, I'm like, wow, this is really good for administrators. It's good for those who are supporting classroom teachers. So let's talk a little bit, because you actually lay out the book in 3 phases, and I love that. You talk about the phases of teachers' professional career. Talk a little bit about that for us.
Okay. Well, basically, I talk about the 3 phases because, as we know, that there's a lot of work that goes into the classroom, and I wrote this book when I was a literacy coach, and as I talked with my colleagues kind of about what they were facing, they were talking about just the fact that they're getting burnt out, that what they once loved is really not passionate about it. And so, being that I was on the administration team at the time, I really had a burning desire to really help administrators understand what the teachers were going through. And to me, the focus was, very heavy on, those academic testing, right, at the end of the year, those summative assessments. But really, let's talk about, how can we make teachers thrive versus just surviving in the classroom? Because when we're at our best, our kids are at their best.
And that's so true. That is so true. And especially as a former elementary and middle school administrator, you really have to help your teachers really understand that. And so that's why I was like, wow, this book is really good for administrators as well, and especially understanding those phases. And then you go on to talk about the organizational development, the school climate, the principal-to-teacher relationship, the teacher-to-student relationship. Talk to us a little bit about that organizational development.
You know what, Dr. Sharon, relationships are key. You have to check, you know how when you walk into a store and you can immediately tell if you're welcome in that store or not? Well, that's exactly what parents and students feel when they should walk into a school building. They should almost feel like, oh my goodness, thank you, we're so glad for you to be here. It should be a very warm, opening environment. And also relationships, building relationships, and as an educator, relationships are key, especially when you have those disruptive behaviors. But when you're building relationships with those educational stakeholders like parents and students, it goes even further. And the climate of the school, that's so important. When you have a healthy climate, when all systems and processes are working together for one common goal, you can't go but hide. But when we get caught up in the gossip, that goes on in the teacher's lounge, or the negativity, that can break down our climate, and that can really cause us not to have a healthy environment, right? We know that nothing is perfect, but if we're building one another up versus tearing them down, and if administrators are listening, say, okay, I'm looking at my teachers' faces, I'm seeing that they're tired. Let me just go in and say, what can I do to help you? This past week, my principal, Dr. Atkinson, he walked in my room one morning, and I was sitting at my guided reading table, and he noticed that, I had a lot of things around. He says, hey, I think it would be better if you would probably, rearrange your papers this way to keep me, more organized, because organization is key whenever you are in the classroom. And so he didn't tell me, okay, you need a desk. He said, let me get a desk for you. He went immediately and bought me back a desk. And so that made my day go perfect, right? Which, again, increases my attitude, because now I'm happy, because I'm organized. And I feel like, okay, I've got this thing all together. My kids are doing exactly what I'm charging them to do. And so it's enhancing that climate. So all educational stakeholders working together for the common good really helps that organizational development. And it is key. It is key. It's a fundamental process for helping educators become their absolute best and being resilient.
It really is. And so probably one of my favorite chapters in the book is you're talking about finding that sweet spot in the classroom.
Yes.
I love it. Talk to us a little bit about that. I love that.
Yes. we got to find our sweet spot, right? And I was talking to my coworkers today. They were like, well, how do you feel about being back in the classroom? I said, well, it's not so bad because we all have to find that sweet spot, what works for us. And I think, I talk about how you have to exercise, how you have to take those mental breaks, right? You do have to find what works for you in the classroom. What works for me in the classroom is I have to be organized. I have to, be positive. I have to have structure in my classroom. I have to have, all of my systems and processes in place so that I can, find my sweet spot. So, I'm just, rocking and rolling. And so it's just but yes, finding your sweet spot in the classroom is essential. And I found as I talk with many teachers, finding their sweet spot in the classroom was a juggle because a lot of times we're spending hours and hours at work because we don't want to take the work home. But then when we get home, we're so tired, and so then we don't have time for our families. And so it's all about creating that balance, preparing your mind and body for that classroom experience.
Very good.
Yes.
Now, tell us a little bit about the What's in You Coaching LLC, because you are the CEO and owner of your own coaching. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so I'm a certified life coach, and I do have a story behind that because the reason this book came out is because I was experiencing burnout after a decade of being an educator. I was like, oh my goodness, I got to go. This is not for me. And so at the time I was in grad school and I was studying, I was on the track for my doctorate, and so I started studying educational psychology, and so I was looking at the similarities of coaching, positive psychology, which, has to do with coaching, and then the educational psychology. And so basically, as I began to study about the process, the What's in You, it's basically, as a life coach, it's not about, it's all about those positive questions, but the client has the answers. So the answers are within the client, and the coaches uses those positive questions and those action steps to get it out. So it's, that's kind of the What's in You. And
I love that.
It can be very powerful within coaching teachers to be their best and to be resilient in the classroom, because we know that teachers burn out between 5 to 7 years and they want to leave the profession. And so I really had oh my goodness, we can't have all of our good teachers leaving the classroom, but what things can we put in place? How can I communicate this need to administrators, to those out there who are driving the dollars, who can be responsible for, ensuring that, their staff is keeping their momentum up throughout the whole year. We said high momentum to shoot for an A. But how do we help teachers in the process? We got to, it's a lot of moving parts, and so we got to be able to not only help our teachers succeed academically, but mentally, so they'll be able to be, sustained while they're in the classroom.
Very good. I think it's wonderful. So the individual that gets your book, who purchased your book, what is the message that you want them to leave with after reading your book?
I want them to be transformed, for number one, and empowered and encouraged that they can be resilient. I want them to read it, journal their thoughts. I want them to also take the action steps that are provided. Start implementing those things in the classroom. Seeing how do they feel, and then, kind of talking about that. Because that's kind of what I did, and it does make a difference. And so as long as they are journaling, taking those action steps, and then implementing them, it'll be great. So I really want them to walk away by being empowered, knowing that they can be resilient and thrive in the classroom.
I love it. So where can they reach out to you? Where can they purchase their book? Where can they connect with you? Just share your contact information with the listeners.
Okay. Well, they can reach out to me on Facebook, and so I have a What's in You fan page, and they can connect with me there, and also have a website, www.marciaycollins.com/become your absolute best / where they can purchase my book.
Awesome. Very good. I tell you.
On Twitter at Marcia Y Collins on Twitter, and I'm also on Instagram at Marcia Y Collins and Marcia Y Collins-Brown.
Very good. And all of her contact information will be under the description, and just in case you didn't catch all of those things. But I just think the book is wonderful, and I love the phases that you identify because they are on point. And just, yes, I just love it. And again, it's not just for classroom teachers, school administrators, those that support classroom teachers. You need to really go out and purchase Become Your Absolute Best, because you are so right. We are so quick to get to that burnout stage because we have so much going on in our industry, in the education industry. So I appreciate you taking the time to really share this information with everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sharon. Thank you. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. So, guys, again, the title of the book is Become Your Absolute Best. It's a practical resiliency guide for professionals to stand out among the crowd in education. I love it. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Again, this is Dr. Sharon, host and creator of the Write the Book Now interview and podcast show, saying don't wait, write the book now.
Thank you for joining another episode of Write the Book Now. If you are contemplating writing a book, don't wait. Write the book now with Dr. Sharon. Contact her at info@writethebooknow.com. Also, take a moment to follow us on social media at Write the Book Now.